This is Valley News Live at 5.
We begin this afternoon with breaking news. The Biden administration hitting the reset button on efforts to end the pandemic once and for all. The president just announcing more vaccine requirements and unveiling his six-pronged plan to reduce COVID cases. The plan includes vaccinating the unvaccinated, keeping schools open, increased testing and requiring masks. All federal workers must be vaccinated and have no option to opt out of being regularly tested. The president will also direct the Labor Department to require all businesses with at least 100 employees to ensure their workers are either vaccinated or tested once a week. As COVID-19 continues to wreak havoc on the country's health and economy, the president is urging those who aren't vaccinated to get the shot.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, and it's caused by the fact that despite America having unprecedented and successful vaccination program, despite the fact that for almost 5 months, free vaccines have been available in 80,000 different locations, we still have nearly 80 million Americans who have failed to get the shot.
According to the CDC, around 75% of American adults have at least one COVID-19 vaccine shot. But community transmission across most of the country remains high as the Delta variant makes up nearly all of the country's cases. An early uptick in student COVID-19 cases has one school district locally putting more mitigations into place to keep its kids safe and in the classroom. Richland 44 schools reported 20% of its population was absent this week, mostly due to COVID-19, with more than 20 active cases in a population of just 275 students. Valley News Team's Bailey Hurley spoke with the superintendent on what changes this district is making to ensure something like this doesn't happen again.
It's been a challenging start to the school year, to say the least. But so far, Richland 44 Superintendent Brittany Gandhi says there's no specific cause or event that can be tied to the now 29 active cases in the district.
We've been hit hard with this early on, it feels like, and we certainly hope that doesn't happen other places.
Until yesterday, Gandhi says the district's mitigation strategies included extra cleaning and social distancing when possible. But the uptick in cases prompted school board members to implement new plans Wednesday night.
So what was added last night was a 24-hour period. So if students or staff are symptomatic with any COVID-like symptoms, they should stay home until they're symptom-free for 24 hours.
The change also includes the creation of a short-term virtual learning program for those who are sick, as well as a 4-person COVID task force. And it also mandates household contacts to quarantine for 10 days.
We weren't seeing this uptick as school started. So as our school board prepared to return to school, there wasn't data at that point to indicate that we were going to see an increase like this.
Gandhi says the task force will watch COVID trends in the district and county and could implement more mitigation factors if needed. But for now, masks will remain optional.
We have pretty similar mitigation strategies to other school districts around us, so it's just interesting to see why some get hit and some don't. We're hoping to see the cases go down, the attendance go up. Hopefully these additional mitigation strategies will help us with that.
Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
And the superintendent added that today's numbers are looking like they are headed back in the right direction as the district's absent rate sat at 16%, but also points out that they're still a long ways away from the district's average absent rate of just 4%. This Thursday has been a solid one weather-wise. Hope you have had a chance to get out and enjoy. Let's check in with Hutch to find out about tonight's conditions. Hutch?
Good evening, Mike. Hello, everyone. It was definitely a beautiful day out there to get outside. Do you remember last year we had temperatures in the morning that were down below freezing in Fargo and Grand Forks this time of the year? Here's a photo from Grigla last year on September 8th. That thermometer just over that 25-degree mark. And well, this is frost on the roofs. Thanks to Nate for sharing this last year. That's last year. This morning we started out in those cool low 40s up there near Langdon. It was cool, but not as cold as last year. Take a look at this. Quiet conditions. A few clouds have been drifting across northwest Minnesota, those yielding just a couple of sprinkles passing from Bemidji down through Park Rapids now and exiting, and they'll continue their trek out of here. What's pumping its way in is hot air from the west. Look at that, 90s out in Dickinson and in Hettinger. We have 70s here in the valley, 60s off to the east. Your forecast for tonight looks pretty much uneventful. We're talking about temperatures that will be sneaking down towards 60, even the 50s as we head to bed tonight. And we'll have a few more clouds early up in Grand Forks as we are expecting quieter weather through the overnight. We'll have hour-by-hour details in your planning forecast as we head toward the weekend, and we'll talk about our next chance of rain as well in a minute.
Quiet's good.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Hutch. After a high-risk man tested positive for COVID-19, he says he believes the monoclonal antibody infusion helped keep him out of the hospital. Since November, Altru in Grand Forks has administered 177 antibody treatments to as many as 5 patients a day. Valley News Live's J.C. Dodd has this exclusive story.
If we did not get the infusion, it could have changed the outcome.
Mehrdad Afshar-Meir is the operations manager for an Altru pharmacy. He says he and his wife took precautions like getting vaccinated and masking up to keep them from catching COVID-19. But on August 17th,
it was not just a regular simple cough. I mean, I coughed and my chest was hurting.
the same day his symptoms started, he tested positive for the virus. And that day, his doctor
called and immediately ordered for me to get monoclonal antibodies 2 days later.
Who qualifies for the treatment? Anyone over the age of 12 with underlying health conditions like asthma, obesity, or diabetes who are positive for COVID-19 with mild to moderate symptoms. Anyone over the age of 65 who's positive for the virus automatically qualifies. Since Afshar-Meir is 61 years old and diabetic, he qualified for the treatment. He says it was a simple infusion that lasted a couple of hours, and thankfully,
like the next day, I didn't cough anymore, just about. Very seldom I coughed again the next day.
He says he believes being vaccinated and receiving the infusion made his infection much more manageable.
You know, considering how devastating COVID can be, I think this infusion gives at least the opportunity to some people, probably most people, not to be hospitalized.
In Grand Forks, J.C. Dodd, Valley News Live.
The state health department says the sooner people who are COVID-19 positive get the monoclonal antibody infusion, the more beneficial the treatment will be at preventing hospitalization. And it's free. The federal government distributed the antibody supplies at no cost to patients, but some hospitals may charge an administration fee. Watch out for bee stings. A man wound up in the emergency room after a potentially severe reaction. A Good Samaritan and the Beltrami County Sheriff deputy are credited with helping to save his life. The victim was unresponsive near a capsized canoe on a lake north of Bemidji. The two heroes were able to find the victim and another rescuer who was holding the victim above the water. When they all got ashore, paramedics said the victim was suffering from anaphylactic shock because he was allergic to bee stings. The victim was transported to Sanford Bemidji Emergency Department. The Click It or Ticket campaign generated thousands of citations in a month and a half in North Dakota. The Transportation Department saying that more than 1,300 citations were given out for speeding, more than 1,200 for failure to wear a seatbelt, and 34 were child restraint citations. Other tickets were issued for failing to have insurance, suspended or revoked licenses, and distracted driving. That campaign ran from July 1st to August 19th. Road fatalities in Minnesota are seeing an increase this year. In 2021, there have been 318 fatalities so far. That's a 20% increase from 2020 and a 30% increase over 2019. The leading cause of road deaths, speed-related. There have been 112 speed-related deaths. That's 37% more than 2020 and a 97% increase from this time in 2019. Well, those who attended a taco and margarita festival earlier this summer can expect refunds to hit their bank accounts very soon, if not already. Matt Becker, who is the owner of Wicked Good Time, was contracted by the event organizer, Adam Dobres, to staff May 1st event. Becker's team has been working on refunds since Dobres Festival struggled shortly after it began. A mass email went out to those who attended the event with instructions on how to ask for refunds. Minnesota U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar is being treated for breast cancer. She had surgery at the Mayo Clinic and finished radiation in May. Senator Klobuchar says that her cancer was stage 1A, meaning that it didn't spread beyond the breast. She also says that she didn't go public with it, with her diagnosis, because her father was in the final stages of Alzheimer's. He died in May. Like so many people, the senator had put off her routine screenings because of COVID and everything else going on in her life, and she wants her story to be a reminder to everyone to get checked.
It, like with anyone, when you get that first call, it was very scary, and but I made a plan. I had incredible doctors and nurses, and I came through it. But in the course of it, I found out that thousands of women have undetected breast cancer right now.
The senator adds that doctors have told her that she now has as much a chance of getting cancer as any other person. More foreigners and Americans are now out of Kabul. An international commercial passenger flight took off today, making it the first large-scale departure since the U.S. and other trips withdrew at the end of August. At least 100 people were on board. The Taliban had said that they would let foreigners and Afghans with valid travel documents leave. The flight was heading to Qatar, which is next to Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, 14 members of the North Dakota Air National Guard are helping with the relocations of Afghan nationals and their immediate families. They're serving in Wisconsin and New Jersey. We're told that their mission is expected to end on the 30th. Well, coming up later, how you can join various parts of the country all pulling together for the victims of Hurricane Ida.
And just updated the drought conditions across the valley. This is where we were last week. Notice the reds and the dark reds, extreme and exceptional drought shifting back as much rain. 1 to 5 inches over the last week fell along that Highway 200 corridor. Your hour-by-hour forecast looks pretty dry. I'll have details. Join me. Weather is next.